Welcome in to the back half of the Strut Podcast. We've got Coach Jimmy Brumbaugh with us, Joe Cash, and Steve Chillers. Chili will join us here in a little bit. He's running a hair late here on this Teal Tuesday night, and coming to you again live from the St. Simon Studios. My family and I and friends are down here in St. Simons, Georgia, in our annual family retreat. We get down here and relax a little bit and get a little sun, get a little salt. I know we live by a beach, Coach Brumbaugh. I get it. We're going to talk about that later, but sometimes you got to even get out of town to have a little fun. But that being said, we've got Joe Cashin, we've got Coach Jimmy Brumbaugh with us in the back half of the Strut Podcast this evening. Joe, you want to introduce our fantastic new guest we have?
Coach Jimmy Brumbaugh, former All-SEC defensive lineman at Auburn, and been a coach for a long, long time. He's on the staff here with new head coach Tim Beck as we are reloading with a new staff coming up in 2023. And, Coach, it's great to have you here at Coastal, and great to see you in that teal and coaching our defensive line. Welcome to Coastal.
I tell you, it's great, man. I thank you guys for having me on tonight. You know, anytime I can talk about Coastal football, you know, it's amazing. This place is unbelievable. You know, the atmosphere, the tradition here in the short 25 years, you know, and that's what I'm used to. I'm used to winning. I'm used to tradition. And that's what we're building here with Coach Beck.
So hey, Joe, I think you're right. He does look good in teal.
He really does, doesn't he?
I mean, you do look good in teal.
Great colors.
Hey, nobody else in the country has it. Wilmington, like UNCW, thinks they have teal. It's like a seam foam teal. It's kind of a weak teal, in my opinion. But, man, you look good. You made that teal look good, man.
It's always good to have good colors, you know.
That's right.
It makes it fun, you know. You always wear your teal, and you throw it down and get some black pants on and some nice shoes, and you look sharp, you know.
Coach, how'd you wind up on Coach Beck's staff? What was the connection there, and what brought you to Conway?
Well, you know, I've always heard about Coastal, and, you know, you watch them on TV and you watch the success that they've had, you know. And I tell you, years ago, I worked with Craig Navier, who's actually our defensive coordinator at Kentucky. And he's actually tried to hire me at Texas and USC and different places. And I tell you, we finally got together and had the opportunity to work together again. And I can't tell you how I'm excited I am to work with these guys.
Hey, Joe, if I may ask a question real quick. A lot of folks, this is one of those questions like we talked about pre-recording, Coach, that may be kind of off script, but what was that connection about for you with Coach Nav? Like, what was that connection that you said, man, I want to work with him?
Well, you know, the thing about it is I love the system. The system's a lot of different things that I've done before, from Kentucky to Maryland to, you know, even being at Auburn last year. There's when you have a sense of the system and developing players and giving them flexibility and allowing them to do things, playing multiple fronts, you know, that's what I love about football, because you're coaching and you're developing.
That's awesome insight, Coach. Thank you.
Well, we've got Chili here with us. He is
there.
He
is.
He kind of directs the traffic around
Steve
here a little bit.
There he is.
As I've got a phone ringing in the background.
But my apologies. I have a 3-year-old I have to put down every night, and she wanted to know the story, and I'm not going to tell her no. So there's that. So, Coach, don't make me run any laps or any gassers for being late, okay? I promise it won't happen again.
I got you. We'll just get you some up downs when you get out to practice.
There you go.
That'll
Coach,
be a sight to behold, wouldn't it?
Coach, how many up downs is that now? If he's late, how many up downs is that?
Well, it depends. You know, if he's late or is he extra late? You know, there's a difference. You know.
All right, so
Coach, he's extra late. He's extra late, Coach.
Let's flesh this thing out.
At least 50. At least
I really
50.
want 50.
Yeah.
Jeez. What if I had a note from my 3-year-old daughter saying, "Coach, please excuse my daddy for being late to record"?
We'll cut it to 25.
That's probably not doable, but attemptable. How about that?
Chili, I would take that deal.
No, I'm taking it. Trust me. Yeah, no doubt about that.
Well, Coach, you know, one thing that we enjoy is you touched on talking about we're getting with Coach Nav, right? Or connecting, really. You've connected on the path in your coaching to this point. Joe, I know you may have this question. I don't want to steal your thunder, but let me know if I do. Please let me know. But what got you here to Coastal, really? I know that Coach Nab, but ultimately the defensive side of things, but ultimately what else drew you to Coastal beyond just the defensive side of the concepts and ultimately the schemes and culture?
Well, I have a lot of close friends that were also good friends of Coach Beck. The guys that I worked with at Kentucky. Also, I worked with Bo Pelini, and Coach Beck worked on the staff with Bo Pelini. So we have a lot of mutual friends. And I'll tell you one thing about Coach Beck. You're talking about a great guy to work for. He allows you to coach. He allows you, to be there for your players. And those are the things that makes your job easy. When you have the ability to have a coach that allows you to coach your players and be around your players and do the right things for your players, you want to naturally give all you got for that coach.
That's Joe, Chili. Does that sound like the culture that we've had and want to continue at Coastal? Hey, playing for the man
no question
next to you and the man behind you and the man in front of you. We heard Coach Beck talk about that. Coach Brumbaugh is about playing for the man behind you as much as the name on the jersey or the name on it. I mean, playing for the man behind you, the man next to you. That's something special when you play for, right? Because no matter if you win or lose or you're up or down or if a coaching you play for the man next to you and the man behind you. So
I'll tell you, in life, everything is about a process. Everything is about a process. And once you learn that process, you get better. Everything in life, not just playing football, just being a good person, taking care of yourself, taking care of your teammates, getting your team ups, the buddy system, get your team up, your teammates. And I think that's really critical. And, I love what we have from a standpoint of our guys' togetherness. That's always going to be different when you come into with a new staff. Everybody's going to be like, hey, can I trust this guy? Can I do this? Can I do that? And the thing about football, all right, if a man believes that he's going to get better, or a player believes he's going to get better, then he's going to start trusting that process. And once you do that, you got a better football team. When it's 4th and 1, they're going to go that extra mile to go get it, to get that stop, or to extend that offensive play. And that's what we are. I've been around a lot of successful teams, a lot of successful coaches. I've had a lot of coaches out there that I've learned a lot of different things. And I think everywhere you go, you learn different things. And there's 2 ways you learn things that you want to do and things that you don't. And I really think both of those are critical in your development as a young coach to get better.
Yep.
So, Coach, let's talk process for a minute. Where is the team in the process as far as spring practice is concerned? I mean, you only got one, and then the spring game as we record this thing here, second week of April, got the big thing coming up on Saturday with the spring game. Where is the process right now with the team, and specifically maybe talk about your group?
Well, I'll tell you, I know it's cliche, but the guys really have been working hard. I think early, when they came in, they were, hey, okay, what are these guys? Who are these guys really? And I think as we got through, practice 1, practice 2, we're on practice 13 now. I really think these guys are getting developed to know, hey, here in the off season, here's what I got to focus on, to carry myself into fall camp to help my game. And I really, at this time, like I said, we've been through 13 practices, and they've been some tough physical practices. We've had inside run, we've had team run, play action, pass. We've had what I call box drill. We've had one-on-one, full line against the O-line. So we've really calloused our bodies and really have hit that toughness, because you got to have tough. You got to be tough. Football is a tough man's game. And, the more that you learn to be tough, the more you out tough people. And then you get in that game and it's like, really? I thought it was going to be tougher than this, So I'm really happy where our guys are right now.
Coach, I've asked this of most of the guys we've had on as part of our staff here, and I was just reading over your resume. I want to get to kind of know you a little bit now. Coach Beck answered this question first, and we just kind of stuck right to this, and we've been sticking with it for every person we've talked to. Coach Beck talked about his OKGs, who our kind of guys are. Who would your kind of guys be playing in your position group? I mean, I know you just mentioned toughness, and that's definite for what position that you are coaching right now, but what are some other characteristics you look for when you would say this is one of Coach Brumbaugh's kind of guys?
Well, the first thing, like we say, we look for toughness. That's the most important key. The next thing is effort. You know, when I see a guy play, I want him to play like I played. All right, hell bent for leather. No matter where that ball goes, we're going to go chase that ball. We're going to be physical at the point of attack to stop the run. We're going to be relentless to rush the passer. And then when the ball's thrown, we're chasing the ball. You know, when you got guys playing that way and they can flip that film on and say, boy, who's number 96 out there? Who's number 98? Those guys are flying all over the field. I want to play like those guys. That's heart and passion. And when you play that way, you know, you get a lot of respect from people.
Hey, Chili, he said a word that I absolutely, y'all know, you know the word I'm talking about. Coach, I love that word, relentless. That word, relentless, it doesn't matter, who you are, where you come from, what program you may have transferred in, how or when or you were recruited. When you hear the word relentless, that's 100% of the time. It's a pretty defined expectation. And I love the fact that you said that. And I sincerely say I love that word because that's something that we've heard throughout the Coastal program, whether it be football and other sports. You know, obviously Coach Gilmore uses that word selflessness and relentlessness. He talks about 100% of the time, right? I don't need 110%. I need 100% of the time. I love that. I love that you use that word. I mean, I know for everybody listening, that's not a coaching word. That word relentless is massive, man, in a culture. And especially with your position that you coach, man, when you are relentless on that side of the football, the opposing team has to account for, all right, the X's and the O's and the Jimmy and the Joes, but then can they account for that relentlessness? That, when the play breaks down, are they going on the backside? Is he going to give up, right? Is the guy on the backside of play just going to kind of meander downfield? It's 11 guys saddling up and going to the ball. I think that's pretty cool, man. I love that.
When you really think about it, that's football. That's defensive line play because everything starts up front. You know, if you don't play relentless up front, and play physical, that's where it all starts. And so that's what we're working towards with our guys.
Coach, who are some of the guys that, if you can brag about some of them, I'd like to hear some of these guys who've stood out to you, who you've noticed, who've really given that relentless effort this spring. The guys that we're going to be talking about on the radio and watching in the stands and talking about on the podcast this fall.
Well, I'll tell you, Q has really done a really good job. He's taken to the fundamentals. He's taken to the teaching aspect of things. He's a fast learner, and it means something to him. When you have a young man that football means something to him, it's they're gonna, like I say, they're gonna play and they're gonna give you everything they have. And and Kennedy has done a really good job of hey, I'm a senior, I got a new coach coming in, but I'm gonna take to the teaching and the fundamental aspect that this coach is teaching me. And I think he's really blossomed and it gotten a lot better. And Alan Henry, he's done a heck of a job. He's so strong at the point of attack, and he really doesn't understand how really good he can be because he's so athletic. He's strong. He's fast, and so those things right there, I'm excited to get them in this summer to actually sit back and say, okay, hey, as we critique this thing, hey, where do I need the most improvement here? What do I need to do to get me better and more ready for fall camp?
Coach, I like what you're saying from my earlier answer on my question about, just some of the things you're looking for in your OKG, so to speak. But I kind of want to ask a question for you specifically. It's kind of introspective for you. And TD and Joe will tell you, I like to do my homework as we go into these kind of things. So I do want to hold a picture up, and I want you to speak to the person in this picture as if you're coaching them. Are you ready?
Mm-hmm.
I want you to talk to this guy right here. What
That guy
advice
had a
would you give that guy if you're coaching that guy at Auburn right now? And if you are
look at
just
that.
listening to the
Look at that
podcast, this is
guy.
a picture of Coach
Wow.
Brumbaugh at Auburn.
Wow, that's many moons ago. I tell you, that's in 1996. I'm sitting on that football field right there. I can remember to this day. And, like I had a lot of memories, but the thing that I had there at Auburn is I had really good coaches that really cared about me and really like developed me into a coach. And I'll give you an example. In 1997, I was having the best season of my career. 78 tackles, 5 sacks, tackles for loss. I was really playing well. And I had an injury. I tore my patella tendon, tore my knee up really bad against Georgia, 10th game of my season, because I was going to come out as a junior. And I had one more game. And we had Alabama the next week. And then we had the SEC championship. And I missed those games. But I'll tell you, I had a coach there that said, "Hey, Jimmy, I want you to go out here and I want you to help me coach the defensive line." And I'm like, "No, man, I'm an NFL star. I'm going to the NFL." And he said, "I still want you to do this." And I tell you, from that point forward, I never understood that I could be a really good coach. But I look back on those days and I see those times, and I'm thankful that that coach really reached out to me and was there for me and helped me because I've had a lot of success. And it's really attributed to what I learned there, not only as a player, but later on in my career.
So, Coach, who
Hey,
was the
Chill.
favorite person you ever sacked when you were playing at Auburn?
Danny Warfel,
You sacked Danny Warfel.
twice.
Was it 2 times? Was it on the plains or was it down in the swamp?
1996, we were playing. They had Ike Hilliard,
Yeah.
Jaquez Green, Fred Taylor,
That was the fun
Danny
and gun year.
Warfel. And I'll tell you, it was the second series of defensive series. It was a 3 technique, and they slid the protection, and I beat the protection, and I got him around the waist and pulled him down. And I tell you, our coach always accredits this because we sacked him in the second series and the third series, and Steve Spurrier went max protection, and we could not cover Riedel Anthony, Ike Hilliard, and all those guys. It's crazy because I worked with Ike Hilliard last year, and I said, "Hey, man," because they beat us really bad that day. Our coaches said, "Hey, we need to slow the game down. We're playing those guys. We need to slow the game down and not throw it every snap. We need to run the football, old Auburn way." And we get in that game, we start slinging the ball around. They beat us 56-10.
Hey, Coach, no disrespect, but they beat a lot of people about 2 or 3, 4 years in a row. They beat a lot of people pretty bad.
That was the year they won a national championship that year, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, they won a national championship, and they played for another one during that time too. Coach, I want to go back to something real quick, more of a life lesson, football lesson, real quick. That trial and tribulation, that moment where you could have quit on your team and you could have gotten sideways about it, especially in this day of, I'm gonna hit the portal, or I'm gonna go do me, right? You chose to be a part of that staff, right? You went from player to staff, right? This program saw its first FBS transition due to challenges because of success, right? So we're going through a little bit of a challenge up until the staff came here. You immediately, right? So this is that moment where you tore your knee, or you tore your patella tendon, excuse me. And you had to immediately go, okay, am I going to be a me player or am I going to be a we player? And this program's coming through that transition now. In your short time being here, from that experience to this experience, now from a player coach, if you will, to now a coach with several years under your belt, what have you seen in that transition of our culture and now your culture and now your program, knowing what you know from what Coach Beck and other guys have told you during this transition period?
Well, I will say this. I want to say one thing. I want to clear something up. I got hurt as a junior, but I still came back and played another
There you go,
couple
man.
seasons.
That's awesome. That's
Okay.
awesome.
So I pushed through. So I had a knee surgery, and Dr. Andrews wasn't sure if I was going to be able to come back and play. Lee Mack and Andrews did my knee. Okay. And so the thing about it is I fought back and I came back within 6 months to play again. I was in that rehab 3 times a day to get back to get ready to play. So when you talk about toughness and finishing, I wasn't going to let people tell me I couldn't do it again. And I went on to go to the 49ers. I went on to play in the XFL and went on to play arena ball. And then I smartened up and got into coaching. So, there's a lot of different things. So when I look at these transitions right now with players in the portal and different things, there's some good, there's some bad. But the thing about it is, to me as a coach, if you believe in your football coach and you believe in what he's teaching you and how he's teaching you and that you're getting better, you're not going to go to the portal. Because why? You believe in that coach. You believe in that staff. And at the end of the day, we got to get people that want to be here. That's what we're looking for. When coach says we want our kind of guys, we want our kind of guys. Guys that want to be here, guys that want to learn, guys that, can have frames, that can put, weight on, because this is a special place. After being here the time that I've been here, I've been a lot of different places, and this is such an unbelievable place. And, like places grow on you. That's life. Places grow on you. And this is the kind of place that grows on you, and you're proud to be here.
That's awesome, Coach. Thank you for that perspective, because, again, Jill and I, Joe, we put on teal-colored glasses pretty much daily, guys, right? Would you agree?
Mm-hmm.
But the one thing that we've asked everybody in some form or fashion, Coach, so thank you, and I'm a concede my time to Chili and Joe, but you don't know what you don't know, right? And you look through your lens and the optics of your program, but when you get outside perspective, whether it be G5, Power 5, or just D1 landscape perspective, when people come in and really evaluate and see and why they come to your program, it's inspiring, it's humbling, but it's also kind of motivating, right? Like, hey, you want to be here. And that's the piece to this that I think our fans need to hear too, is the staff, everybody we talk to, in their own way, there's a rhyme or reason why they want to be here. And I think that's why it's pretty special to us.
Yes, sir. Yeah,
Coach,
it is. Like, go ahead.
No, I was going to go ahead if you had a.
No, you go ahead.
Okay. As a coach, since you've been in coaching a lot of years now, you just talked about one of your highlights as a player. What about some of your coaching highlights? What are some stories? What are some great moments along the way, along the coaching trail that you could share? A couple of good stories, maybe.
Well, I'll tell you, the 2007 national championship year at LSU, we were the only BCS national champion with 2 losses. And we're 5-0 or 6-0, and we go up and Kentucky beats us at the University of Kentucky in overtime. And so, we're like 6-1, 7-1, whatever it was. And so we come back home and we go on a winning streak the next 4 or 5 games. And we're playing against Arkansas. And they have Felix Jones and McFadden. Okay. And they beat us. They beat us in that game. Well, we had done well enough to go to the SEC championship game. That Arkansas game really didn't matter. And so we end up going to the SEC championship. And who do we face? Foster and the big quarterback, and we face Tennessee. And we beat Tennessee in the SEC championship game. Well, on the plane ride that night, we're flying back from Atlanta to Baton Rouge, and we hear on the over the plane that West Virginia, Pat White has just broken his hand, and they're losing their game. I think it was to Pitt. And And then the radio goes off. Okay, the radio goes off, so nobody knows anything. We're riding on the plane, and all of a sudden they come back on, and they say, well, West Virginia has just lost the pit, and the whole plane. I'm telling you, the whole plane erupted because we knew we were going to the national championship after that. And so that was an amazing time, just to be able to be a part of a national championship and have that happen, and with 2 losses. So, those are just some good little moments that I've had in my career.
Now, if I'm wrong, Coach, correct me, but when you were at Auburn, you played for Coach Bowden. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so are you upset that you won't get to see ULM this year?
Yes, I really, really wanted to see him, and, because probably in my 27 years since I've coached, or since I've been done at Auburn, I think I've maybe seen him once or twice, and it's always good to see your old coaches. I tell you what, that's what I tell my players. No matter what, when you see those old teammates, you see those old coaches, something in your heart just fills with joy. I can't explain it to you, but boy, when I see them guys, it's the best feeling in the world. And you remember all those times that you had, and it almost brings you to tears because you never get those memories back again.
So, Coach, again, just kind of going back and looking at some of your history over the years, and I was making some notes about some of your stops along the way, and you've got an awesome resume of just places you visited and worked. But what I want to ask you is, working for the coaches that you've worked for and worked with at your different stops, what would be kind of like the recipe that's come together to make you Coach Brumbaugh, as far as like people you've worked with and what you've taken from different places?
I would say really the process of how they did things. I go back to that all the time because when you learn a process, when you learn how to teach, it makes everything that much easier. And now I can get my points across to my players faster. And I find different ways to be able to teach them. And I would think that those coaches that I've been around, they've shown me how to make things easier. You learn 3 different ways, right? And once you find out how your players learn, I think those points have been really big for me because I've made the process of my kids learning easier.
Coach, we got the spring game coming up on Saturday as we record here on the Tuesday night prior to the big event coming up. What sorts of things can fans, assuming that the weather's going to be good, we're going to get this thing in, it's going to be great, everything's going to be fine. What can the fans expect to see on Saturday?
Like I always go back, relentless effort, chasing the ball, stopping the run, getting after the passer. And, just the excitement of the guys getting out on the field. The more that you push them in practice and the easier the games are, and we have a lot of older guys up front, and those guys right now are understanding how to do things, and it's going to be a lot of fun. This year's going to be a lot of fun. We're going to have a lot of fun at doing this.
Coach, and Chili Joe, if I can pivot just a hair away from this, but it's to do with football. But in the last 48 hours, Ole Miss head coach Hugh Freeze came out and made a statement, good, bad, or different. Made a statement about, hey, maybe we should think about playing some other schools, maybe not peer schools, right? Maybe a non-conference school that you're unscheduled to play for the next 10 years, right? Maybe even FCS school if you're a FBS school. That's something when I played, I'm going to be honest with you, we also thought about, hey, maybe we play a Methodist or we play someone that maybe we're just not going to play, right? No right or wrong, indifferent answer. What are your thoughts on that? What would you like to see it, not see it? something like that. Tell me what you think.
Well, I think there's a lot that goes into it. Most of the time when you're getting ready for a game like that, you're game planning those guys because you don't want to look bad. So you're game planning those guys. Whereas, I'm thankful for the 15 practices that we have and then the spring game because now a lot of those guys who haven't who wouldn't get to play in that game are really getting a chance to get out there and play. And their moms and their dads can come and see, and that builds more, camaraderie with your team because now guys are getting a chance to play. And so, so I'm, I know there's different things, but I'm for the 15 practices we have, and let's get better.
Now, look, I don't necessarily agree or disagree. I'm one of those. I always like to pose the question because, again, as a player, you think about it. But I'm glad you framed it up perfect, Coach, because I don't think a lot of people realize what goes into preparation for a game, right? I mean, there is an entire analytics piece that is not even installed, right, until Monday night of a game week that a lot of people don't realize, and we'll get into it obviously in the fall, and we always do, but we're breaking down film the week prior. The analyst and the staff is already breaking down film the week prior to a game. So, Coach, I kind of gave you a thumbs up for those watching on YouTube. But would you love to hit somebody different? Absolutely. But at the same time, it's just an unfair opportunity for everybody involved. That's awesome. Joe, Chili, I got one question, non-football related, kind of fun stuff, but y'all got anything?
Yeah, I've got a a quick spring game question, Coach. We talked about your group and stuff like that going into the spring game and how you use your practices and stuff. My question is about the game Saturday itself. Going into this, what kind of goals do you have for your group going into the spring game? What are you kind of looking for? I know there's some competition for places, but I guess overall, as your group goes, what are some goals you have going into the spring game Saturday?
The biggest thing is get out of that thing healthy. The guys have put a lot of work in and gotten a lot better. But what I look for is game type situation. Treat this like a game. Hey, let's get our pregame meal. Let's get our ankles taped. Let's do the little things that it takes to teach yourself how to prepare for a game. And those are my biggest things. Like mentally get your mind ready. This is a game. Anytime you walk on that field, it's game type situation, no matter what you're playing. Whether it's a scrimmage, whether it's a spring game, whether it's a fall camp scrimmage, whatever it is, we want to treat this thing like a game. And because the more that you treat it like a game, the better you're going to play in those games.
So Coach, is it going to be a hold on. Is it going to be a situational sort of thing? Is it going to be you're going to break into two teams and go at each other for a certain amount of time in quarters and whatnot? I mean, what as far as that, what is that going to look like?
Well, I'll tell you, Coach Beck is working on that, and
he's going to hold it close to the vest, didn't he? I see it now. I know it. Yeah, that's close to the vest.
I leave it up to him.
Yeah,
well, I'm going to tell you, he's going to make the best decision for Coastal Carolina. And I fully trust him. To make the best decision, and I know he will.
He will
because he believes he believes in it. Like I say, man, guys, I've been around a lot of good coaches, and he's a good football coach. He's a good person, and when you have a good person that you're working for, and it makes your job that much easier.
Well, hey, go ahead, Joe.
I was just going to say, talking about Coach Beck, talk about some of the other guys on that side of the football, on the defensive side of the ball, on the defensive staff that you're coaching with this year.
Well, we have a good staff. We have a lot of coaches that have some experience. We got some young coaches, older coaches, but we have a lot of good guys. Coach Fuller does a great job back there in the secondary. He's got a lot of experience. And Josh with the outside backers, he also has the special teams, and so there's a lot of good coaches there. and we have a really good staff room. You know, like I say, a lot of us have been in this defense, you know, and so it from a standpoint of just learning, we're all together, and I think that's critical. You know, when coaches understand how to do things, and coaches understand the scheme, and you can talk about it because we've been in it. You know, it really makes it that good, that much better. You know.
Coach.
Edie, I think you had one last question. Is that right?
Well, I was going to say, look, we talked a bunch about football in our first window of opportunity to meet with you, you know, virtually here. We can talk about football all day long, and I love it, right? But Coach, when you're not away from the field, what do you love doing, and your family, and what do you enjoy, man?
You know, I really enjoy spending time with my son. You know, he was a college athlete. He played tight end for us at Maryland, and played tight end at Colorado. And now, you know, he worked for Bill Haggerty as a Republican senator. He worked for him for a year and a half.
Okay.
Then he works for an embassy up in D.C. So I get to see him from time to time. But you know, I'm really proud of him. You know, football really opened the door for his life, and you know, he's worked hard. And so my time is really, when I get that time, I spend it with him. You know, empty nester, so he's up there, and so it's different. You know, it's different because everything used to be with him. You know, I'd go and do with him because, you know, as a coach, you know, I didn't have time to go get on the golf course. When I came off the field, it was throwing the ball with him. It was doing something with him to make him better. And so, you know, that's what I look at. You know, family's big to me, and so I enjoy spending time with him.
Coach, you spent some time at Oregon, and I have some friends who consider themselves to be college football uniform experts. So this is a kind of a question they're probably going to prod me to ask you since you were at Oregon. Number one, what is the best Oregon uniform combo? And do you see Coastal's teal and bronze ascending to the same level as what we would see out of an Oregon? Those are right answers to the second one, by the way. Just go ahead and throw that out to you.
These colors are pretty close. Well, a little bit, but I tell you, I don't know, man. We've had so many uniform. I mean, like from the black we had so many uniforms over there at Oregon. It was crazy to keep up with them. It was like a uniform of the week, you know. But I tell you, the tradition that Oregon had to play the game the way they played the game, and you know, there's a winning tradition there. And Phil Knight has done a great job in helping that program, and you know, that's you know, they're there because of the tradition, and so that's what we're looking for here. You know, building that tradition like we've had, and you guys have done a great job, and I take my hat off to you because, you know, it's not easy to build tradition. You know, and when you could do it in the short amount of time that you have, no matter where I go, people say, "Hey, I've watched Coastal Carolina play." I'm like, "Great," you know, and so it's really good.
Well, Coach, you say you don't like to golf. What? All right. So now that you're an empty nester, now that you're on the staff here, right? What's one thing? All right. So tell me your favorite food, and can you get it here? And then tell me if you're not coaching and you're not in office, you're not working. If you what you enjoy doing.
Well, I'll tell you, I never said I didn't like to golf. I just said when I was spending time with him, it's hard to go on the golf course because he was a quarterback, so we were throwing the football. And
Fair point.
So we had a golfing event. We had a golfing event the other day, and I enjoyed myself. It was a lot of fun getting out there. I didn't hit them as well because you got to do it every day, or you got to do it at least 3 days a week if you're going to be good at it. You can't just go out there and hit a ball. It's impossible. It's the best one-on-one game that you could play, you know, because it's you and the ball.
That's
But
it.
you know, I love food. I love hot wings and pizza and barbecue. And so there's a lot of good things there. But I like those things. And actually, Coach Niver is a really good
Yep.
barbecue. So we're going to try to get over there and cook some barbecue,
Yeah, hit us up when that happens. We already talked to Coach Niver
That's
about
right.
that because we're Carolina barbecue guys here, and he's a Texas barbecue guy. We had that discussion when he joined us, and it almost became a debate, Coach. I'll be honest with you, because we love ours and he loves his. So I'm not saying we're better than him because we're probably not, but just that talk was fun. That when he brought that up, when we talked about it, his eyes lit up, and he just went. He could have done a whole podcast just on Texas barbecue. I promise you, he could. He was ready
Let me
to
tell
go.
you something. This
I'm
guy
gonna take
gets
him
his
up
own
now.
wood from Texas. He's got his own wood. He's got his own smoker. He knows how to marinate that meat. I mean, he knows it now. His eyes light up when you talk about it.
He's coming back
I'll
for
send
sure
him
to talk about
pictures.
that.
I'll send him pictures of brisket and all that, and say, "Oh, hey, look at this brisket." He'll be like, "That looks dry." You know what I mean? So it's really good.
Hey,
Coach, we definitely
I want
appreciate
to trade
that.
some recipes with him, man. I want to trade
Yeah,
some recipes with
he's
him,
something,
Coach.
man. Coach, we appreciate your time joining us. I know the busy schedule you've got right now with spring practice going on leading up to the spring game this Saturday, all that coming up. Just for you to take a few minutes out of your busy schedule to spend time with us, we just appreciate it. The people who listen to the podcast love it when you coaches come on and just give a little bit of insight into what's going on, what's happening around the program. And anytime you or any of the coaches want to come on and just join us, I know your time is limited, but anytime you want to come on the Strut, Coach, you got a welcome invitation like everybody else does. We love hearing from y'all and hearing about you and getting to know you as well as you as a coach and a person as well.
Hey, I appreciate it. That's what we're here for, to bring Coastal Carolina football closer to the fans. And, we know we eat, sleep, and breathe this thing because I don't know what we would do. And I think COVID showed us what we did without football. You know what I mean? It'd be tough.
Yeah.
So
Let's don't do that. Let's don't do
Yeah.
that again. We're good to go.
No.
Coach,
Well, Coach, we
appreciate
appreciate your time. Yeah, best of luck Saturday. No injuries. We hope it looks sharp, and we're looking forward to reconnecting with you once UCLA prep begins.
Appreciate you. Yes, sir.
Thank you,
Thank you,
Coach.
Thanks, Coach.
Thanks, guys.
Appreciate it, Coach.
Bye-bye.